I just finished university and moved back to my family's first house. The house was empty and free to use as my parents were no longer living there. After so many years studying far from home, I felt a bit of nostalgia for this house, the house I was raised in. My parents were fine with me living there as long as I paid all the bills, so I quickly went looking for work. Checking the newspaper ads, I found a job offer as a security guard at FREDDY'S Pizza. I couldn't believe it. One of my favorite childhood places was open. I spent many afternoons there with my parents and friends. Fazbear's Pizza surely was a heaven of laughter and fun. Until something very gruesome happened. Something related to the kidnapping and disappearance of 5 children who were never found. The restaurant lost many clients and ended up closing down. I had no idea the restaurant had reopened, and although the offer was for the night shift, an urge between nostalgia and curiosity made me accept it. The first night, the owner was waiting for me in the restaurant. With a very curt attitude, he gave me the keys and reminded me that I had to follow my schedule exactly as it was, from midnight to 6 in the morning. The daytime guard left me a message with more instructions at the security office. When I got in, a wave of childhood memories invaded my mind. I looked at the stage, and there I saw Freddy, Chica, and Bonnie, a band of animatronic dolls which I watched play and sing many times. The office was in the back. It was small, with 2 entrances and windows on each side. I started listening to the audio my coworker had left for me, and what I heard left me perplexed. He explained that in front of me I had a screen that controlled the security cameras of the restaurant, and I could use it to monitor every movement in the place. However, danger would not come from any possible intruders. It would come from the animatronic dolls. It seems that in order to prevent our engines to get blocked due to inactivity, they can wander freely around the restaurant all night. Also, when they see a worker, they don't identify him or her as a person, but as a robot without its respective animatronic suit. Thus, they grab the worker and force him or her into one of the suits, filled with metal bars and other devices, crushing and killing the person in the process. The only body parts that remain intact after the process are the eyes and teeth of the victim, which can be seen through the mask of the animatronic suit. This all sounded ridiculous, but when I checked the cameras, I realized that one of the animatronics, Bonnie, was no longer on the stage. It was coming through a hallway towards the security office. In the message, my coworker told me to remain calm, explaining that if the animatronics got too close, I could see them arrive by turning on the lights in the hallways and could keep them out of the office by closing the automatic doors. I followed his advice and immediately turned on the lights on the left side hallway, just in time to see Bonnie through the window, fixedly staring at me. I pressed the button and the door closed automatically and just in time. However, the message clarified one last detail. The electric energy I had access to was limited, and if I used too many devices too frequently, the energy would run out, and I would end up completely defenseless. I kept monitoring the hallway, waiting for Bonnie to go away and leave me alone. When it finally left, I opened up my screen again in order to check how much energy I had left. I had spent almost half of it already. Luckily, there were no more incidents that night, and that energy was enough to last until 6 in the morning. Despite all of this, I went back to work the next day. I didn't believe those animatronics could actually harm anybody, and I really needed the money. I had received a new message from my coworker congratulating me for surviving the first night and telling me to be especially careful with the animatronic from the pirate cave. I looked at the cameras. He meant some kind of fox hidden behind a curtain. I kept monitoring the rest of the animatronics on the stage, but when I looked back at the pirate cave, the fox was no longer there. I frantically searched for it through the other cameras until I found it running through a hallway towards the security office. I closed the door just in time and I started hearing loud bangs from the other side. After a while, the fox animatronic gave up and went back to its place in the pirate cave. Later that night, the fox tried to get to the office 2 more times and Bonnie also tried to get in. The following nights were even more terrifying after Freddy and Chica joined the action. Every hour was nerve-wracking. I was on edge with my 5 senses fully alert, while those robots looked at me directly through the security cameras. I could see they had ticks and quivers, which were not characteristic of animatronic robots. They started to attack me simultaneously on both sides, and my energy was just enough to last until 6 in the morning. Afterwards, I would spend the rest of the day unable to sleep, on edge because of the fear and anxiety. On the 4th night, a shiver went down my spine when the recording of my co-worker ended up abruptly with screams of agony, followed by what I believe was the crushing of bones. In the morning, I noticed a putrid smell on the stage and red marks around the eyes of the animatronics. On the 5th day, I met my boss. He was furious. The daytime guard had disappeared, and the boss accused me of having something to do with that, but he didn't have any proof. And to make matters even worse, I discovered that there was a new message in the office. It was a very deep voice, similar to the voice of the Freddy animatronic, saying something completely incomprehensible. I feared that would be my last night alive. On that final night, the 4 animatronics joined forces to go against me. And they weren't alone, as there was a second Freddy robot that limped, with protruding eyes and streams of blood flowing from them. I quickly closed both doors and hid under the desk, paralyzed by fear. I lost all notion of reality until someone knocked on the door. In 5 minutes, it would be 6 in the morning. I thought it was my boss who had arrived to the restaurant early. I let out a sigh of relief. I opened the door and I found myself face to face with the limping Freddy. The last thing I saw was its bloody eyes and teeth showing through its mask.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, and if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode!